Ron Popeil died on July 28, 2021. He had been taken to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center a day earlier for a medical emergency, and while no cause of death has been provided, the various news outlets have reported that he passed away peacefully. At the time of his passing, Mr. Popeil, who was, in my opinion, the greatest TV salesman ever, was 86 years old. As I think back to my 50-plus years of television watching, I've come to realize that while I wasn't always aware of it, Ron was always around. Over his lifetime, Ron was the pitchman and inventor of so many different products. My very first memories of Ron was for that product right there in front of him. Good old Mr. Microphone.
Hey, this Christmas party is getting a little too quiet. I think it's time we liven it up with my favorite Christmas gift, Mr. Microphone.
Hey, what's that?
Well, you set the dial on your FM radio and testing.
Hey, I'm on the radio!
These kids are having a fabulous time with Mr. Microphone, the cordless microphone that actually puts your voice on the radio. There are no attaching wires, so you're free to move around. Broadcast over any FM car radio.
Hey, good looking. We'll be back to pick you up later.
Professional entertainers use Mr. Microphone for rehearsing.
I got one.
I got one. I got a Mr. Microphone and I love it.
It's practical and great fun for the whole family.
And it's only $14.88. Mr. Microphone, buy 2 or 3, they really make great Christmas gifts.
I read somewhere that Ron didn't sell products, he sold dreams, and Mr. Microphone was certainly that for me. I thought that if I owned a Mr. Microphone, I might transform from a nerdy couch potato to someone who was the life of any party. When I finally got one, that didn't happen, but I still thought it was a pretty cool gadget. And I totally trusted Ron when he introduced me to the Pocket Fisherman. Yep, I had one of these things, and while it is true that I couldn't cast the line as far as a regular fishing pole, and my Scoutmaster mocked me mercilessly for having one, I still thought it was one of the coolest contraptions ever. Years later, Ron would show up hawking GLH Formula Number 9, which covered bald spots and gave you great-looking hair, hence the letters GLH. After repeated viewings of this particular infomercial, I realized that this product wasn't going to work for me. I was going to have to find some other way to get the babes back. So the point I'm trying to make is that I've got to admit that I really admired this guy. His story is one of true perseverance. In his book, The Salesman of the Century, Ron talked about a very difficult childhood where he felt abandoned by his parents and for a very long time was taken care of by his grandparents, who were more stern than loving. As a result of that disconnected childhood, when he matured into adulthood, Ron found that he could connect with people through sales. It was a way for him to find a kind of love and affection that he had been missing. It should be pointed out that one of Ron's first products that he really effectively sold was an invention of his father's, the Chop-O-Matic, which would later be improved upon by Ron and renamed the Veg-O-Matic. As I was wandering down the internet rabbit hole these last few days reminiscing about Ron, I stumbled across this tweet by Paul Rubens, who said, "Ron's products, and especially their brilliant pioneering commercials, were a giant part of the backdrop of his childhood, his adolescence, and his adulthood." And I totally agree, Pee-wee. Paul. While Ron wasn't on any of my favorite TV shows or in a massive blockbuster movie, he was always there, always willing to sell me a dream. He was so darn good at what he did. Heck, he even sold me one of these things, a Showtime rotisserie grill, which, by the way, sat in our basement in a box for years unused. Turns out I didn't really need it, but for one brief moment in time, probably right after watching Letterman one night, Ron somehow convinced me that I couldn't live without it. Well done, my friend. Well done. Alright, that almost wraps things up here. But wait, there's more. I haven't mentioned that Ron was the guy who came up with that ingenious sales ploy where the pitchman works feverishly to sell you something at one price, and then right at the very end, he sweetens that offer. Yep, that was all Ron Popeil. Okay, now it's your turn. Please share your memories in the comments section, and while you're at it, I'd love a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and I would be honored if you would consider subscribing to my channel. I talk about music, movies, and mostly TV from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. You know, the good stuff. But most importantly, and as always, thank you so much for watching.